we have to teach one another how to be in a relationship with me or you. Don't just expect people to know or to think and feel the same way you do. Instead, communicate those things. Hello there, fellow travelers. Man, it is good to be here. I admire and respect your desire to look in and do a little work. I never tire of saying your perspective, your understanding, your psychology is everything. Your question this week is of significant importance. You asked, how can I stop being offended by what others say or do or think about me? This is a terrific question because it deals directly with how you interact with the world around you and, more importantly, with others around you. In addition, this has a lot to do with your personal psychology and your internal ideas. I subscribe to a particular kind of psychology that acknowledges the importance and power of our personal ideas, beliefs, and philosophy. I don't know if you've seen the movie Inception, but if you haven't, I highly recommend it. It is a little violent, but the ideas in the story are so good. They're so original, and they also carry some powerful elements and ideas that are worth considering and investigating. There is a specific quote in that movie that reads,
"An idea is like a virus, resilient, highly contagious, and the smallest seed of an idea can grow. It can grow to define or destroy you."
Think about that for a moment. Your ideas, your personal philosophies of life, how you perceive others have a tremendous impact on how you experience and respond to the world around you. This is the basis for cognitive psychology. The idea being that it isn't the events or circumstances that ultimately create your response or the outcomes in your life, but it is your interpretation of those events. So in other words, the lenses through which you see the world around you and that you put on every morning and carry with you throughout the entire day ultimately lead to how you will experience the world and life around you. Is your world a threatening one? A black and white world of people who are either one way or another? Is it rigid? Is it a flexible world? Is it a world filled with opportunities for growth, redemption, love, and meaning? Or is it a world that is fixed with judgment, condemnation, criticism, and people, circumstances, or even a God who is out to get you? I'm giving you this introduction because I want you to know two things. One, your psychology and perspective have a tremendous impact on how you feel and experience life. And two, this psychology or set of internal ideas can be upgraded, manipulated, and become a little more expansive. In other words, we're talking about developing the kind of personal psychology that allows you to go into the world with confidence, courage, and wielding friendship and compassion as your sword and shield. But as always, I digress. Let's get to the question and some tips that will help to create a shield and a buffer of confidence, understanding, compassion, and peace with yourself and others. I believe that these ideas will indeed liberate you from the rudeness, misunderstandings, injustice, ignorance, and unfairness that this life and others may level at you. And by the way, there will be plenty of times where you will be the genesis or even the cause of this ignorance and suffering. Unfortunately, none of us can truly escape our own stupidity and lack of poise and wisdom. Others will hurt as a result of yours and my short-sightedness. In fact, we actually have arrived at idea number one that will help you to approach life in a more confident, humble, and compassionate way. One, realize that we are all toddlers, learning how to best negotiate and navigate this life. We are all consciously or unconsciously walking around with our biases and our blinders on. Some of our personal ideas and beliefs will encourage a peaceable walk with life and others. They will fill us with confidence, with optimism, with hope, and emotional endurance, while others will carry trauma, history, and ideas and beliefs that promote fear, anxiety, insecurity, depression, pessimism, and at times a sense of total hopelessness and powerlessness. I'm telling you this because I'm hoping you'll go into life with a sense of understanding that we're all functioning with a set of faulty and at times out of focus lenses. I hope that you can see how this kind of perspective will allow you to go into this world with greater understanding and some grace and an increased patience with yourself and others. Begin there. 2, stop looking for ways to be offended. I'll be honest. I don't watch a ton of news. I actually try to stay informed by reading a few newspapers from around the country, but I have this sense, especially lately, that some people are just waiting, constantly looking for the wrong words to be spoken, or for the inappropriate expression, or for someone to make a mistake, and man, when they do, it's canceled this or immediate judgment and condemnation. To me, this just does not feel reasonable or realistic. In fact, it doesn't feel like evolution or like we're getting better. It's as if for a country or a society to heal or grow, we have to erase the past. That doesn't feel like progress to me. In fact, it feels like the opposite. To me, progress feels like seeking to understand people, or learning to ask better questions instead of making these huge illogical jumps and assumptions which only provoke more anger and division. So what I'm trying to say is this. If you're feeling offended a lot by what others are saying or doing, it's possible that your own personal radar is turned up to ultra sensitive. And when your radar is turned on to ultra sensitive, you will very easily see faults and violations everywhere. Years ago, I was actually doing a presentation to a group of men and women, and toward the end, I left some time for discussion or questions that they had, and one wonderful woman was brave enough to ask me this question. She said, "Why am I so angry all the time?" It was beautiful. It was honest. It was humble. After gathering a little bit more information about her and her circumstances, my response to her was, "I think you have too many rules for yourself and others in your life. You have too many. You have too many people should do this or that, but not this or not that. You have too many rules about how people should believe and act around you. And when you have this many rules and people violate those rules, the only possible outcome is anger." So my awesome friends, if you're finding yourself annoyed all the time at people in your home, in your work, or on the road, or at church, or wherever you find yourself, just turn down your ultra-sensitive alarm and radar, and instead turn on your optimistic and compassionate radar and begin to see and interact with a completely different world. I'm telling you, it's like an alternate reality. 3, if necessary, separate from those sources. If not, then let's get to work. Look, I realize that some of you may be in relationships where friends or family or coworkers or bosses or neighbors, out of their own woundedness or fear or insecurity, will be very offensive, controlling, demeaning, and at times even abusive. If there is a systematic pattern of meanness where people treat you in demeaning, rude, and offensive ways, it's possible that you need to migrate to a different environment and a new group of people. If separation is not the answer to your problem, then we have to work that problem. And the way to do that is to, 1, educate. Let that person know that their comments and behavior are hurting you. Like, we got to at least begin somewhere, right? 2 is to clarify. Ask questions about what people mean about their remarks. Sometimes we misunderstand and misinterpret what people are saying altogether. 3, create some healthy boundaries. For example, you can say something like this: "When you criticize me or use swear words or offensive language in our conversation, it makes it really hard for me to not be defensive and attack you back." In a very real way, we have to teach one another how to be in a relationship with me or you. Don't just expect people to know or to think and feel the same way you do. Instead, communicate those things. And 4, pick your battles. Not everything has to turn into World War III. Some things would benefit greatly from being addressed, while others can be let go. And you can move on with your day and focus on more important things than holding on to that grudge or that comment that was said while you daydream and fantasize about how to respond or fight back. If something needs to be said, then muster up your courage and let's work it. If not, make the deliberate decision that you are moving on and shifting gears. 4, adopt a growth mindset. My friend, if you haven't had a chance to read Carol Dweck's work, Mindset, seriously, do yourself a favor, pick it up and read or listen to the dang thing. I'm not suggesting that this is going to fix all your problems, but I promise you, if you begin to see your existence through this growth mindset lens, you will very quickly recognize yourself and others as work in progress instead of finished products that constantly need to be defending their egos. Be coachable, be open to feedback, keep your heart soft and willing instead of hard and resistant. Invest in a confident mindset that allows you to consider consider what others are saying and to use it if it's wise for you, or to simply say thanks but no thanks. Anyways, there is much more that could be said on this topic, and so many more ideas that I believe could be incredibly helpful to you. The book The 4 Agreements by Don Ruiz, for example, has one entire chapter. One of the 4 agreements in that book is simply take nothing personally. And by the way, he means compliments as well, like nothing. In other words, he would say that what others say to you is a reflection of their own psychology and not really a representation of who you are. Anyways, it's something to think about. Once again, thank you for your contribution, for being here. Now get out there and live deeply and suck out the marrow of life instead of living in a fickle and fault-finding way, and instead reaping bitterness and contempt.